Okay, all right. No, I do not want to do it myself. Good morning, everybody. I see a lot of neighbors out there. Thanks for coming to the July 12th general meeting of the Lakeside Property Owners Association. This is an open meeting, which means that members, non-members, and visitors may attend. So I welcome everyone who is coming for information. I welcome property owners to come and understand the issues that are going on in Lakeside. And I welcome members who support this organization, who believe in this organization, and who are willing to work together with this organization to make Lakeside and our leaseholder experience as good as it can be. Thank you. I'd like to call the meeting to order now with an opening prayer presented by Larry Kissabeth.
Let us all be in a spirit of prayer. Father in heaven, we commit this mid-season meeting of the Lakeside property owners to you. Come and reveal your will in every aspect of our life and ministry here in Lakeside and beyond. It has been said that during the presidency of John F. Kennedy, some of us lived at that time, and we lived in Camelot. Camelot being defined as an idyllic place, especially one of great joy. Now in our 152nd year of existence as part of the Chautauqua movement, Lakeside Chautauqua is our Camelot, our idyllic place, our place of great joy and happiness. How blessed we are, O Lord, to be part of this special place in Danbury Township of Ottawa County, in the state of Ohio, in the United States of America, in the northern hemisphere of the world we call Earth, the third planet from the sun, in our solar system, in the vast Milky Way. Just a cosmic piece of dust in your universe. We are truly blessed. In his inaugural speech on January 20, 1963, President John F. Kennedy spoke these famous words: "Ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country." 62 years ago, it was a call to civil action urging Americans to focus on our responsibilities and contributions to society rather than solely on what government could provide us. So as we approach and surpass the midpoint of our Chautauqua season, we can paraphrase that great quote: ask not what Lakeside can do for you, but what can you do for Lakeside? Through the programming and visions and the mission of Lakeside Chautauqua, much has been given. We have been given much. What now can we give back, and what now can we pay forward in our Lakeside Chautauqua, our Camelot? As our CEO Charles states, our community with a calling. O Lord, let your will be done as we listen, as we learn, as we plan, and as we make decisions in our cosmic piece of dust in your universe, our Camelot. And the people say, Amen.
Thank you, Larry. I remember where I was on that November day in 1963. I was school age. I was home with the chicken pox, if you have to know. So I watched the whole thing with my mother. At this point, I'd like to introduce the members of our LPOA Executive Committee. If you please stand. Our Vice President is Ross Brown. Our Treasurer is Tom Ramsdell. Our Secretary is Connie Roop. She has her hand raised from the National Championships over at the Shuffleboard Court. She's defending her title. We have our Sergeant at Arms, Carol Robertson. We have Trustee Reps Elizabeth Irwin and Trustee Rep Brett Johnson. And we have a new trustee, Carolyn Fleischer. Oh, sorry, Ron, is that you? We have trustee Ron Yonke, who is the chair of the Community Relations Committee. Sorry, Ron. Last meeting, I forgot to give Tom time for his treasurer's report, so it happens. At this time, I would like to welcome any new leaseholders. If you are a new leaseholder, would you please stand so that we can welcome you? We do have a new leaseholder.
Hi. My name is Eileen Seppold, and we live at 217 Plum Drive.
Can you spell your last name, please?
Seppelt.
Eileen.
Yes.
Welcome, Eileen.
Thank you.
Any other new leaseholders today? Thank you very much. We look forward to becoming neighbors. At this time, I would like to have Tom Ramsdell come forward for the treasurer's report.
Yep. Good morning. So on our treasurer's report, in the past I've always reported that the majority of our work takes place in the first quarter of the year, and even though Lakeside is extremely busy at this time, from a financial standpoint, there's a little bit of lull from the LPOA. You can see we had about $250 worth of income last month. 200 of that was some additional members. You'll see we're 930 members strong now. From an expense standpoint, we had our quarterly stipend that we pay to Donna to do our directory, and we have a monthly MailChimp expense. So total expenses last month, $1,828, leaving us with a balance of $31,752. I would like to draw your attention to a new line item, and I ask that you please suppress your oohs and ahs here. But we have a CD now with Huntington Bank in the amount of $20,000, gaining some interest. That's really the result of the dues increase that you passed last year. If you recall, there was an overwhelming support that we get more involved in being benevolent at the end of the year. And in order to do that, you passed a dues increase. So you can see we're extremely healthy at this point, and we're sitting on a good sum of money that will be able to be distributed at our October meeting. That's basically my report. Are there any questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. I have 6 items on my president's report. The first item is an appointment to the vacant trustee seat left by the passing of Dwight King. Dwight he was in his last year of his first term, and so by our bylaws, that position is required to be filled by appointment. And I appointed Carolyn Fleischer for that role, and her name was approved by the executive committee. So thank you, Carolyn, for fulfilling Dwight's term. Also, since Dwight passed away in his incumbent year, if he had lived, he would have run for re-election. So Carolyn, who has taken over his seat on the executive committee, will be running for re-election as an incumbent because she is completing his term. We've also had a trustee resignation since May 17th, and that is Glenn Becker has resigned his seat on the executive committee. He resigned at the beginning of his second year of service, so his seat will be filled by appointment and approval as well. I have an update for you about the LPOA membership committee, which has been idle or it's been idle for a while. And Brett Johnson, one of our new trustees, has shown a very strong interest in working with Lakeside Association in starting the membership committee in conjunction with Lakeside's efforts to welcome new people. So if you're interested in working with Brett Johnson, if you're a member of LPOA and you would like to serve on that committee with Brett, please reach out to Brett. You can contact Brett easily if you go to the new LPOA website, which is lksdpoa.org. Click on Brett's picture, and you will go to his email address. And it's very easy to reach any of us that way. On June 14th, Marianne Hirsch, who is the Lakeside campground manager, had her spring meeting with Lakeside permanent residents and asked if I would come as the LPOA president to talk to campground residents, as it had never ever been done before. I was very surprised about that because the campground residents are leaseholders as well. They have a different kind of lease than we have, but they are indeed leaseholders, and they pay their assessments through their annual lease, which is quite expensive. So I explained how LPOA works and how welcoming we are as an organization, and they've been invited to fully participate in the life of the LPOA. The website update. Right now, the initial phase of the rollout, it's gone live. In the background, what we're doing is transferring our spreadsheet that Donna Lukey maintains for our directory purposes. We're transferring this from a spreadsheet system to a database system that is in the cloud and is managed by our webmaster. So you may notice, if some of you have joined since May 17th, there may be a lag in the availability of your access to the controlled area or the private area of our website. We know that's the case right now, and because we have this big database that we're working on, we don't want to make any mistakes, so we're going slowly, making sure all our data stays pure. So give us grace and patience with that, and we will have it fixed shortly, I'm sure. Or not fixed, we will just have that next step completed. So how many have visited lksdpoa.org? Good. So far, so good? Good. Okay. The next thing I want to just report to you is that the LPOA Executive Committee is aware that one of our primary responsibilities is to maintain order at meetings and to follow proper procedure. Because we are a small organization, we have an option that is allowable by our bylaws to have more casual rules sometimes than Robert's rules that really govern huge organizational meetings. And over time, we have realized that it's important not just for the president to understand how to follow procedural guidelines, but it's also important for our whole executive committee. So this spring, at every one of our monthly meetings, we tackle a different aspect of Robert's rules, and we talk about it. At our last meeting on June 30th, we talked about motions from the floor. It's a little bit complicated to have motions from the floor at this kind of an open meeting when we don't know who the members are. We realize that's something that we haven't given full importance to, and that's going to change. So from this day forward, when we're at a general meeting and there is a motion from the floor, there will have to be a second, which is true, that's what we always do, and then there's discussion, which is true, which is what we always do. when it comes time to call the motion and to take a vote, that's when we need to know who the members are, because only members have voting privileges, not everyone attending an open meeting. So at that time, we'll take a pause, we'll pass out blank cards. You put your name and address on one side, you put your vote on the other side, and then after the meeting, we will count the votes, we will vet the votes, and we will let you know the outcome of the vote. Okay? By the way, Q&A happens at the end of the meeting, and I'll be happy to entertain questions about that at the end of the meeting. At this time, I need to make an announcement about Charles Allen. Had a very sad phone call from his family yesterday that his grandmother, who I believe also raised him, I believe this is that grandmother, fell in a similar way that Dwight King did, had a head injury, Toledo, had surgery, and is not expected to survive. So it's very sad. He's also dealing with 2 other deaths in his family this week. So please pray for Charles and Kazante, who is also grieving. So he will not be here today, understandably. In his place, I'd like to call to the podium now Lakeside's Chief Administrative Officer, Meg Johnson, who is going to introduce us to a new management staff. Thank you, Meg.
Hi, good morning. For those of you who haven't met, I am Meg Johnson. I'm the CAO here at Lakeside. I just have one item on the agenda to discuss with you this morning. I would like to introduce the new Vice President of Municipal Services to all of you. This is Dennis Doolittle. He joined us just last week in his role. And in his role, municipal services comprises our maintenance responsibilities, grounds, as well as safety services. So those are the primary functions that Dennis will be working with. He also will be involved pretty heavily with the streets project as well. And we just came from an HPDRB meeting, so he's already jumping in with both feet. So what I'd like to do is give Dennis a moment. He has an incredibly impressive background, and I'm really excited to have him be part of the team. I'd like to turn over to him to let him say hello and give you a window into where he come and what he's done from an experience perspective. Thank you.
Thank you, Meg, for that introduction, and welcome everybody this morning to this meeting. It's my pleasure to move to Lakeside for my employment, but also to move up to the Marblehead area as a permanent residence. My background is diverse. I started in the hospital environment, worked in that for 22 years. With that, I was involved with many large-scale projects, a $100 million project to build a hospital pavilion, as well as small projects and day-to-day operations. Moving into Findlay City Schools after that for 15 years as the Director of Operations, worked there on many other projects, as well as running the day-to-day operations for the similar areas that I'll be covering for you guys here. It's my pleasure to work here. I'm really enjoying to meet all of you individually, have some coffee on your porches, learn about your properties, learn about how important it is for you to be here. This is a very special place. I'd like to share a little story that I have, and some of you have heard it already. But my uncle is a retired Methodist minister, and we visited with his family up here. I think it was on the lakefront. I was a young man at the time, and he decided to take out one of the sailboats in the afternoon. And in his excursion on that lake, a storm blew up from the south and blew him out to sea. So from the front porch of that wonderful cottage, we watched my uncle get rescued from the Coast Guard. So it was quite an impression that it made on me, but I was here it was probably late 70s or early 80s. And I can just remember as a child running through these streets and playing on the beach and had a great time. So I'm looking forward to ending my career here, I hope, and retiring here. So Thank you very much for your attention, and have a great day.
Thank you, Dennis. Once again, that's Dennis Doolittle, Vice President of Municipal Services. Dennis, we're so happy that you're here, and your phone is going to start ringing off the hook real soon. Now it's time to move right through our committee reports. We have 3 committees reporting today, the first of which is the nominating committee. Ross Brown is the chair of our nominating committee, and he will conduct the nominating business. Thank you, Ross.
Okay, good morning, Lakesiders. How is everybody? Everybody feeling pretty good? We got a really nice day coming up again, nice and hot. And I spent my day in my garage sweating, trying to clean it out a little bit. But actually, this morning I had an interesting, I am the chair of the nominating committee, obviously, so I have something I'm going to present to you in a little bit. I just wanted to let you know that I had a problem finding my glasses this morning. As you get older, you kind of have to have these reading glasses. So I went to our pre-meeting earlier this morning and I didn't have them. And I couldn't read anything for squat. So I ran back to my cottage and I looked all over it, looked everywhere. My wife was looking everywhere. Went upstairs, downstairs, bathroom, kitchen, whatever. And as I was getting ready to come over here and walk out the door, I reached into my pocket. And here they are. So anyway, now at least I can read my little notes that I made. So, okay, the thing we're going to be doing today is we're going to be presenting a slate of candidates for you. My responsibility as chair of the nominating committee was to come up with that slate of candidates. And so we're going to present the slate of candidates for each position that's available. And then we're going to accept nominations from the floor for each of those positions. Today will not be a day when we accept oral presentations from the candidates themselves. The candidates, once the nominations are finished, will be contacted by one of us from the nominating committee and talk to them about the responsibilities of being a trustee on the LPOA. So, the first opening is going to be for the secretary's position. Connie Root was our secretary, and she's decided that she is a little bit too busy with her shuffleboard responsibilities and various other committees, so she decided not to run for that election. So are there any nominations from the floor for the position of secretary? Hold on for a second.
I'd like to nominate Jerry Lidebarger for the position of secretary.
Okay. We need the name
My
and
name is
address.
Vicki Becker. I live at 225 Sycamore.
I second Ted Wolkenhorst, 344 Cherry.
Okay. We don't need anything else. We don't need seconds. That's right. Okay, the next position, our slate included Tom Ramsdell as the treasurer for the LPOA. Are there any nominations from the floor for the treasurer's position? And please give your name and address.
D. Grindley, 302 East 3rd at Jasmine. I highly recommend nominating, I'm pleased to nominate Karen Mader for the position of LPO treasurer.
I second that. Linda Ruttencutter, 127 Kent Row.
Are there any other nominations for the position of treasurer? No other nominations, so the nominations are closed. The next one is for the trustee representative to the association board. Ron Yonke has decided to run for that position. He is also already a trustee. So are there any nominations for the position of representative to the Lakeside Board?
My name is Glenn Becker. I live at 225 Sycamore, and I would like to nominate Mike Eggers as LPOA trustee to the Lakeside Association Board.
Can you spell that last name for me?
Eggers. Mike Eggers.
Okay. Any other nominations for the treasurer's position? Oh, I'm sorry, trustee position for the Lakeside Association. The last one is for a trustee position, and our slate includes Carolyn Fleischer, who is currently an incumbent and taking over Dwight King's position. Are there any other nominations for Lakes LPOA trustee?
My name is Sally DePero, 1317 Hirsch Road. I would like to nominate Beth Jennings Sibring for the position of LPOA trustee. Thank you.
Okay. Nominations are closed. Okay, since all the nominations have been received, each nominee will be receiving a call from someone on the Lakeside or the nominating committee to explain to them exactly what the positions are, what their responsibilities are within the LPOA. Each floor nominated candidate will be expected to provide a bio, which most of us have already received. So we're in pretty good shape as far as that's concerned. Other than that, that's the only thing I have to talk about today as far as the nominating committee. So nominations are closed. We're going to move on to the next item.
Thank you, Ross. We'll have Q&A at the end of the meeting. The next committee report is Ron Yonke, Community Relations.
I've got a PowerPoint. Good morning, I'm Ron Yonke. Our Community Relations Committee's primary job is to listen. We know we have 930 sets of eyes, 930 minds out there. We don't hear from 930 people, but I personally assume that if one person brings a concern to me, it reflects more than just one person. What do we do with those concerns? Well, depends on what it is. Many of these things we take to the executive committee for their consideration. If it's a matter of safety, a call is made as soon as possible to someone on the safety staff. If it's a routine maintenance item, likewise, if we know who that person is, we'll identify that person on the Lakeside Association staff. We also meet periodically with Charles Allen and review with him concerns that we have heard since our last meeting, and we ask him to share his concerns as well. This last meeting with Charles, we presented several maintenance concerns to him that had arisen in early June. That's in part because we didn't have Dennis on staff, but also it struck me as different. We typically don't receive a bunch of maintenance concerns in a short period of time, and what it was is people seeing equipment repairs or landscaping items that really hadn't been done yet, and it was beginning of the season. But many people have guests at the beginning of the season, and that's going to be the only time they visit. So they're very concerned to have Lakeside looking at its best, not just for themselves and for guests, but pride in the whole community. And it's that pride in the whole community that I particularly appreciated as the source of these comments. Charles did, of course, acknowledge that I think he's mentioned before. We had a rainy preseason, but that doesn't reduce our pride in seeing Lakeside as best as it can. We also talked about security checks for volunteers. Several people expressed concern over having to go through a security check, having to be fingerprinted, especially if all they wanted to do was pull weeds or do something like that. Charles explained to us the liability concerns, and I believe there's insurance concerns as well, or insurance requirements, I should say. And so we and a unfortunate incident that had occurred last year involving a volunteer. So that's still out there. I'm not sure I'm convinced that if I have to pull weeds that I need to be fingerprinted, but that's been elevated to Charles. We also elevated to Charles the poor conditions at the dump that exhibited earlier this year. I would go up there from time to time at midweek, and it looked terrible. I mean, it looked like how it looks after the 4th of July or after Labor Day. And it was really puzzling to me because there were empty containers, and yet we had stuff, bags often, stacked on the ground in front of an empty container. It just can't understand it, but that is a concern. I've noticed since then things are much better up there. I hope that's because people are operating as they should up there, and we know that if people see trash on the ground or recycling on the ground, they're more likely to leave their stuff on the ground. I try to make it a habit to pick up a bag and throw it in the trash, or pick up a piece of cardboard and throw it in the recycling every time I go up there to make it look a little better, just to deter that behavior. But this is an area I hope where property owners can set an example for others. Another area of concern came up after the 4th of July. We have several safety concerns at the 4th of July, well beyond the fireball that concluded things. One concern is the use of sparklers. As a boy, I loved sparklers. In my hometown, Lima, we didn't have public fireworks, so we had to supply our own. But sparklers were safely handled by us kids. Nobody was within arm's length. There was a bucket to put it in, and it was well controlled. That's not the case on the lakefront during the 4th of July. People are close together, and on the Sunday after the 4th of July, I picked up a handful of sparklers next to the bandstand. So anyone running around on bare feet would have been exposed to a puncture wound. I also picked up in 2 locations packs of unlit fireworks. I'm guessing people were shooting them off later on, and in the dark, whether safety chased them away or what, but they left unlighted fireworks behind. Again, safety hazards. So I think that certainly Lakeside has a role. We need to support them in that role and ask that our guests not engage in unsafe activities, especially when things are crowded at the 4th of July. What's the committee doing this summer? We sit on, when we can, on Charles's coffee chats to learn of what's happening. I and other members of the committee will be meeting with the Lakeside Together group. I've contacted them. Want to understand what what their concerns are and how we as LPOA can move those concerns forward. And also, we are interested in adding additional members to our committee. The more ears, the better for listening, as far as I'm concerned. And I'm happy to announce we've had an interest acknowledged already this morning. Dwight King was a member of our committee, and so we're a little smaller than we have been. I'd be happy to entertain any questions at the end. Thank you.
Thank you, Ron. Thanks for your service on the Community Relations Committee. Our next committee is the Bylaws Committee, and Ross Brown is the chair.
Okay, I'm back. And I have my glasses. So the Bylaws Committee met several times over the winter, and we voted on a new bylaw, but we had a little problem with one section of the bylaw, so we wanted to just make sure that everybody was in sync with it. We wanted to make sure it was in sync with the Ohio laws. And so one of the specific areas of the bylaws was our membership section, which is Article 3. So in order for us to make sure we adhere to the state of Ohio laws, I have met with a law firm in Columbus called Common and Cusimano. They are supposedly, as I understand it, one of the top law firms in the country that deal with property owners associations, homeowners associations, and bylaws relating thereto. So I have talked to them, and we have a cost involved in having them review our bylaws and make recommendations. And as I understand it, the cost included was $550 for a year of legal services for LPOA. Anyone on the executive board with LPOA can call Common and Cusimano with any questions, legal questions related to LPOA, have a 15-minute conversation, which is included in the $500. The review of the document is included in the $500. We discussed the amount at our last executive committee meeting, and I believe that it was passed 100% unanimously. So that's where we are at this point. Once we get that review done, we'll come back to you and explain it to you, show it to you, and we'll re-vote on it again. So anybody have any questions as far as the bylaws? I'm going to take questions on this only right now.
Hi, Martha Adamski.
What's your address?
416 Sycamore.
Yeah, the one here, not where you're from.
Yeah. What was the name of that law firm again?
Common and Cusimano.
Cusimano?
Cusimano. It's C-U-S-A-M-O-T-O. Cusimano. Or A-M-N-O.
Hi, Michael Eggers, 414 Plum. Reading the bylaws, there's an issue between the association's bylaws and our bylaws, the POA bylaws, in that nominations for the position that I'm running for, in our bylaws, it says that the association has to confirm by vote our nomination or our representative to their board. It doesn't say that anywhere in their bylaws. So there's a conflict there. So if you guys could look at how you're going to resolve that conflict, that'd be great.
Well, we'll talk about it. Our bylaws are our bylaws. Their bylaws are their bylaws. It's not something we have any control over, so.
So can I just respond to that for 1 second?
Yeah, I think I can finish the answer there.
The bylaws.
First of all, sir, right now we're talking about our relationship with the law firm. Those are the questions that we're asking. So
Oh, I'm sorry. I
we
thought
will
he-
be
I thought
happy
he-
to.
Yeah, I thought he said.
I'm
that-
speaking, please. We'll be happy to take your question to the law firm, and we will also work with the association board to address that question during the Q&A. I see our association board president, Jane Marks, is here, along with other board members. I don't have the association board bylaws with me right now, but I'm sure they are well-versed and can answer that during the Q&A.
Okay, can I respond to that?
Sure.
First off, Ross said, were there any questions about bylaws? So that's why I stood.
Okay.
It wasn't specific about whether it was about the law firm or not, so.
Okay, I apologize.
And
I apologize for that.
Okay, and I specifically asked,
Okay.
do you want questions for bylaws now, or you want to wait till the end? So let's just make sure we're clear.
We are very clear. Thank you, Mike. I'm sorry for misunderstanding what was happening.
And hi, this is Mary.
I'm looking for you. I don't see you. Oh, there you are. Hi, what's your last name?
BUTZ Boots.
Okay, and what's your address?
230 Elm.
Thank you.
And my question was just if the law firm has been vetted for Lakesiders in their firm, or is this a law firm that has no Lakeside ownership?
This law firm is not affiliated, as far as I know, with the Lakeside Association. We are free to enter into a business relationship with our organization and theirs. Okay, we're going to move on, and please hold all your other general questions to the end of the meeting, and we'll be happy to entertain and give you the full 2 minutes. Now we're moving on to the Finance Committee of the Association Board reporting section of our meeting. Brett Johnson serves as the Lakeside Trustee Rep to the Lakeside Association. He's been appointed to serve on their Finance Committee. And I think, Mike, you've had one meeting. I have. Yeah, so tell us about it.
Thank you for the opportunity to serve and represent all of you through this committee, the Finance Committee. And as Mary Ann said, I've been to one meeting, so I wanted to respond to some of the things that happened. Doug Adams took over leadership of that meeting, so I think I'm new along with him. We reviewed 3 business items. Initially, we reviewed and affirmed the charter governing the Finance Committee. That hasn't been done since the spring of 2023, so it was a good opportunity to see exactly what we're charged to do and how we're charged to do that. The second order of business was Doug had created a suggested yearly calendar, and what he's thinking is taking all of the responsibilities of this Finance Committee and putting them into some chronological order so that everything gets done appropriately on time. And then we also reviewed the renewal of the association line of credit. This is a 1-year renewal. It's nothing new. It's with Key Bank. It's the same terms that were used in the previous line of credits. We continued discussion of 6 goals for the fiscal year that included collaborating with the Lakeside management and especially looking towards the financial forum, which will be due by the end of July, and I will be sharing that review update with the Lakeside Property Owners Board and look forward to sharing some of that information with you. I especially appreciate your patience with me as I'm learning a whole bunch of new stuff that I never thought I would be learning. If you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer them. But I ask that you email me or call me. I'll sit on your porch. We can talk about things. Then I can share, find the answers with folks who really have the right answers. I'll do my best. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Brett. The other association board report comes from me. I sit on the executive committee and the governance committee. Our governance committee met yesterday. Jack Allen is the chair of that committee. We were mostly at that committee meeting reviewing the commitments to Lakeside leaseholders, and they affirmed the message that was presented by me at the May 17th meeting, that the issue of that word non-voting member in the bylaws stands as is. I stressed to the governance committee and also to our board president and others on the board how important it is for board members on any board in any association in Lakeside, LPOA included, but particularly in this sense, the association board, to make an effort more strongly to be relational. That means to be present, to be available in person, and to be more conversational in the way we express news back and forth to each other. That's always been a theme of my board service, and the board members that are here today are not surprised that I'm reporting that today. It's something I believe is very important. As a relational person myself, I know how important it is to receive information on paper to make it official, but I also understand the importance of talking to people in person. And that is one of my main goals, is to help the association board find better ways of being relational. And it's just, I'm beating that drum at every board meeting. Thank you. At this time, I've made references to the board members, and I have not introduced them. I'd like, if there is an association board members present at this meeting today, would you please stand and be recognized? Hi, welcome. And that is a really, really fabulous way to be relational. I appreciate your support of me as president of LPOA. I know you listen to me at board meetings, and you always make time for what I have to say when I'm representing the members of my organization. I call it my organization because I am responsible for the good things that happen here and the bad things. So thank you for your continued support of Lakeside Property Owners Association, and thank you for understanding the need to speak in person whenever possible. Now, on the other side of that, now I'm wearing my LPOA hat. I'm not saying this as a board member anymore. I'm saying it as the president of the LPOA. It is not nice to set up the board members when they arrive at a meeting in person. Thank you for whoever left. If the board members attend a meeting and there is some agenda that is being pushed forward that is counter to what the board is trying to do with the mission, it's unfair to be mean during any of those meetings. We appreciate being respected. And I, as the president of the LPOA, want to be proud of my members as being respectful in any setting. And I encourage you to follow your good wisdom in using decorum in any meeting setting. So at this time, if there's any old business, it can come forward. Is there any new business? Okay, we are ready for the question and answer period. And before it begins, you know the rules. Everyone has 2 minutes to speak. Please raise your hand and stand to be recognized by giving your name and your Lakeside Cottage address. At the end of your 2 minutes, we'll let you know it's time to sit. And if you have more things you need to say or another comment that you would like to make, please wait until everyone in the room has had a chance to speak before you raise your hand again. Are there any questions about the rules for question and answer? Okay. Please stand.
Yes. My name is Lori Schweitzer, 526 Elm. I did submit a request via the LPOA email asking if it would be possible to vote absentee when there are elections, because we're going to be on vacation during the August meeting. And I was assured that it would be discussed by the executive committee, but there has not been a response to that. And it just seems in a modern day that's a democratic thing to do, since we have to sign for our ballots. Thank you.
Thanks, Lori. I'm sorry I haven't written back to you. The answer is in the bylaws, and the voting must be done in person. So we act according to the bylaws.
Could you state where that is found in the bylaws?
I will
can
look for it,
at
and I'll let you know.
I would like to know now, if you could have someone in your organization look
I will
it
let
up.
you know, and I will record it as part of the minutes of the meeting. I don't have the answer for you right now. Any other questions? Doug? Doug, you're in the back.
Oh, hello, Doug Bowl, 462 Cedar. Brett Johnson, this is for you. Thank you for your enthusiasm and your willingness to sit on the porches and talk finances. I'm excited about welcoming you to our porch. I am a little concerned about what you can speak to us about with the non-disclosure. So I would just like to know briefly how comfortable you are with the financial conversations you might have, because I myself, being a former member of the Finance Committee, I have a lot of questions. So thanks, Brett, for your enthusiasm.
Thanks, Doug. I appreciate your encouragement too. I've talked with you and Kathy as we've passed. And that's a great question. I found that what I have spent a lot of time doing is just listening, taking notes, writing down things, and then talking to folks who really know the answers to those questions. I recognize the concern about the NDA and that conversation, which is I think what you're looking toward. And so I want to be fair to answer the questions honestly while following the rules. So I will do the very best I can. If I don't have an answer, I'll work to find it. I know that probably isn't exactly what you're looking for, Doug, but I'm getting close. Okay, thank you.
Jim Edwards, 222 Jasmine. I was on the board for a number of years and on chairman of the governance committee as well as municipal finances. At the time we revised the bylaws, it was recommended by 3 attorneys, all of whom are Lakesiders who are very highly qualified, that we include language in the association bylaws that state that the rules are an extension of the original camp meeting rules, recommended by Dan Edwards, Bob Brucken agreed, as did Catherine Heigl. I don't believe that statement made it into the present set of bylaws, and it would seem anachronistic, it would seem odd that why would you want to include the notion of the original camp meeting rules. But it does lend credence and strength to the rules that you have today as a part of the original founding of Lakeside, as well as strengthening the leases that we all have. And so I would simply ask the question to the Lakeside Board, why was that language eliminated? Or better yet, perhaps they should consider putting the language back in. I don't dismiss the need to be efficient. I don't dismiss the reason to be honest or current. But if Bob Brucken and Catherine Heigl and Dan Edwards make a recommendation, I tend to listen to it. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Your comment is noted, and it will be noted in the minutes.
Lynn Hudson, 324 Poplar. Just a couple of things. For clarification for the members present, rules for voting, is it one vote per household or one vote per paid member of the LPOA?
That's a good question, Lynn. It's one vote per paid member of the LPOA.
Okay, and then my comment about absentee voting. Since you, and I believe you, you are relational and you're promoting relations, given that this community and the members of the LPOA come and go throughout the season, I am asking that the members of the LPOA board reconsider absentee voting, because
All right, it's noted as an agenda item for our next meeting. Thank you, Lynn.
Dan Bucky, 221 Park Row. This is a very minor question, but it goes back to your final comment regarding decorum and so forth. And after your comment, it must have been important to you enough to say it, and we all looked at other in amazement, like, what in the world is she talking about? So could you please clarify that so we have a better idea of what you're thinking?
About decorum? Sure. The coffee chats have been quite fractious. I think there is a wonderful way for property owners to be respectful in any meeting environment that they find themselves in. I feel that oftentimes, frequently, there is an opportunity for in-person communication between board members and the community, between this president and the community, between the LPOA and the community. And we are always wondering how we might need to maintain order. It shouldn't have to be the first thing on our mind. At the May 17th meeting, I had to ask 3 people to stop speaking, and I had to ask one of those people to sit down. The rules are clear. The 2 minutes is not unusual. If you've been to any meeting anywhere that follows this procedure, 2 minutes is the standard amount of time for a comment. And the comments or questions are not required to be answered on the spot. Give us grace to answer your question fully and adequately and not put us on the spot with a challenge that you know is fractious. That's what I'm saying.
My name is Paul Neese. My wife and I have a place at 528 Plum. I'm holding the bylaws here in my hand. And on this section under elections, what it says is the election shall be done by ballot, period. Doesn't say it will be done by ballot in person.
So how would one receive a ballot on election day?
I'm sorry?
How would one receive a ballot on election day? So,
well, in this day and age, I would guess email would be the way to go. Thank you.
I would like to say ongoing that as we have been preparing and rolling out the LPOA website, I have mentioned several times that we are looking into the future to vote remotely. That is in our vision for the future. It is not appropriate for us to do it this year, and I have told that to you before. This is not something we are able to do this year. When we vote remotely, it will happen through our website, and you will be able to vote remotely, but we cannot offer remote voting this year. We're not set up for it. We're not, because we're not. We can't, we need a forum We need a process by which we can be assured that the person voting is a member. You pay for that right and that privilege. And we honor that, and we want to make sure that the people submitting votes are members. That's why we vote in person. And when we are able to vote remotely, it will be because we are set up on our website as the password protected part of our website is for members only, and it will be very slick and very efficient to vote remotely. We're not ready to do that yet. Sophie.
Okay, so Cindy Mall, 537 Jasmine, but Sophie's my Facebook alias. I've now outed myself, and everyone knows who Sophie is. Sophie was my dog. I'm going to support the idea of remote voting, and I appreciate your explanation. One of the reasons I support it is because there's a silent majority in Lakeside who don't necessarily come to these meetings, who don't necessarily go to the coffee chats, but we're perfectly happy. We find joy in Lakeside. And I worry, as you use the term fractious, I worry that Lakesiders have become less civil than we used to be. There used to be something that we would call it's not the Lakeside way. And I just implore everyone to recall the Lakeside way and be civil and neighborly and not fractious. Thank you.
Thank you. And as I said before, it's on the agenda of our next meeting.
Hi, Kurt Johnson. We're at 722 2nd. One thing I think you might be able to do for this one is what about proxy voting? We're in person. You can go as detailed as you can make Lori and Jim go to a notary and say, this is my vote, and get it stamped and have someone bring it. It's still a ballot. It's still in person. While you bridge, or you could go as easy as, we've got a little bit of an honor system here. If you gave it to a neighbor, you know who Lori and Jim are, you know that they're members. If we bring the vote with us, you're accomplishing both while you work to where you want to get to. It's just an idea.
Okay, this meeting is live streamed, and you will receive in the minutes a promise to bring it up at our next executive committee meeting. I can't make a promise right here. Yeah, okay. It's not a decision I can make either, so.
Having worked with Ginger O'Malley, 350 Lynn Avenue, having worked with elections for 50 years in the state of Ohio, on the election board as well as my HOA in Florida, there is a way that it can be done. It could be done right away. Have one central place that people who are not going to be here, and we do encourage homeowners to rent, so renters are here at that time. When homeowners often don't come back to Labor Day. So you just have one place where people can place their ballot. We have a master checklist. You check them off that they've already voted so somebody doesn't show up election day trying to vote for them. And it can be done paper-wise before we can get it online. So that's something that we could do immediately. And I'd be glad to help with that. Thank you.
Thank you, Ginger.
Hi, Kathy Bull, 462 Cedar. I was thinking similarly of maybe a process that might be called like absentee ballot, where a homeowner would go into the administration building perhaps and vote that way and have it be certified that you were a homeowner. So I appreciated that comment because I was thinking of something similar to that might work out for this time, because if we wait for the next meeting, then I think the voting is over, right? It wouldn't be applicable to this. But anyway, that's another thing. I like your comment about being relational. I think in today's world, we miss eye contact. We miss face-to-face communication, it's texting, it's email, it's Zooming and all that, which is all helpful, but we do miss that. And we also have to understand, in my opinion, people's walk in life and people's perspectives. And we have to respect that. And we have to give them kindness, and we have to give them eye contact. And I have an agenda. You use the word agenda. I've got one. I'm making a statement. That's my agenda. I don't think it's a 4-letter word. I think we all have agendas, and I think we can be respectful of them. One for me is just honesty and transparency. I want to know what's going on. So that's all I have to say. There you go.
And be nice to your
Thank you.
Next to neighbors.
Linda Rettencutter, 127 Canton Row. Marianne, you said that we should go to coffee clutches and be kind and thoughtful when we speak. But Marianne, you've never been at a coffee clutch, because I've been every single one except for one. And that was yesterday. You may have been at that one. We need to see you more. I live on the same street as you practically. I only have seen you twice all summer. I want love from my LPOA president and the representatives. They represent all of us. We want them to do what we want them to do. And it seems like in this meeting, it seems like you fight us. Every time something's said, well, we're going to do the voting this way, we're going to do it that way. You've got to treat us with kindness. You're our president. And a president should be the most liked person in this whole entire room.
Thank you, Linda. Just a quick comment. I do have a business, and my market hours are Tuesdays and Fridays from 8:30 to noon up at the farmer's market. That's why you don't see me at the coffee chats. Also, my father passed, and for 10 years, my family has taken care of him in our homes. And that's why you may not have seen me as much. I think most people in this room know who I am. How many people have sat on my porch? It's a rhetorical question. You know who you are. I try and be available, accessible, and friendly. I also have an extremely difficult job of maintaining order at these meetings. It's a serious thing. It's not in my wheelhouse, but I'm learning to be diplomatic. Everyone is on a learning curve, including me. So give me grace for that. Thank you.
Morning, Jane Marks, 331 Lynn. There was a question about the association board bylaws, and I have the bylaws with me, so I thought I would take a moment to address the question so that hopefully we can clear that up for the room. But when we're talking about election of members of the board of directors, the bylaws actually speaks to the ex officio members. Those are the members who, by virtue of their office within Lakeside, right, have the opportunity to serve the association board of directors. And I realize I have Article 3 and you don't, but these are posted on the board's page on the website. So you can certainly look at any time that you are curious. But it's Article 3. And it's Section 1, and it speaks to how many members we are to have. We are to consist of, sorry, now my vision isn't that great, 17 to 19 voting members. I want to read it from here for you. And then it says 6 ex officio members with voting privileges confirmed by a vote of the board. So I hope that does speak to the question, that our 6 ex officio members who have voting privileges are to be confirmed by a vote of the board.
Thank you.
That's it. Thanks.
Thank you, Jane.
Dee Grinley, 302 East 3rd. I'm 90 years old. I've come here since 1963. I have never felt, I've been in a lot of LPO meetings. Oh. I have never felt as talked down to or as condescending as I have at this meeting. I feel really, really bad about it. And my heart's heavy. Thank you.
New subject.
What's your name, please?
Ted Walkenhorst, 344 Cherry.
Thank you.
I don't need this. The LPOA bylaws say that the purpose of the LPOA is to represent or to advance the interests of property owners. Now, to me, as a property owner, knowing that the board meets 4 times a year, I think it might be a good idea for the LPOA to send out a survey to its members in advance of every association board meeting to inquire, are there things that LPOA members would like our 3 representatives to the board to take to the board? I don't think that's ever happened. I think it'd be a good idea. I think the survey you did last summer, Marianne, was great. That NCA survey was great, but that was about the NCA. If the purpose of the LPOA is to advance the interests of property owners, then I think it'd be a great idea to find out what the interests of property owners are in advance of every association board meeting. Thank you.
Ted, if you could contact me sometime after the meeting, I'd like to pursue that idea with you.
And I would like to say also that Ron Yonke is the chair of the Community Relations Committee, whose job it is to find out and to receive concerns of property owners so that they can be forwarded to first the executive committee so that we can discuss the scope of the issue and also the appropriateness of taking it forward to the association board.
Hey, Marianne, Jim Schweitzer with 526 Elm. Just I want to add a little levity. We've been talking property owners and we've been talking leaseholders. So 95% of us are leaseholders with a 99-year automatically renewable lease. For all intents and purposes, we're property owners. 58 homes in Island View are actually property owners. So when you asked for leaseholders to stand up if you're new, I was thinking, well, maybe we forgot about Island View, but I heard comments about, well, we're not property owners, we're leaseholders. Technically, the lease means we're property owners.
Yeah. A house is a property. It's something we own. It's a piece of thing that we own. Yeah, but thank you for your clarification.
The reason I bring it up is I've always wondered the provenance of the name LPOA. So that was just, just for the levity.
And also remember that this is a voluntary organization. So even if you are a leaseholder or a property owner in Island View, you are not required to belong to this organization. It's a voluntary organization. This organization is a membership organization, and we represent the interests of our members.
Kathy Bowl, 462 Cedar, Jane Marks. I needed some clarification on what you were talking about in terms of board approval for, I'm not an attorney, so I got a little lost in that. Am I right that for the LPOA representatives, the voting LPOA members that are on the board, the association board, must be approved by you guys? Okay, and everybody on the foundation board must be approved by you guys also. Is that correct? Do you
Can somebody give Jane a mic? If she's answering questions, she needs to be heard.
Sorry. Is this counting my 2 minutes? So I'm going to keep my time. And so you said yes, that all voting members, it sounds like, that are on the Lakeside Association Board must be approved by the board.
Correct.
That is correct. Okay, so there comes my agenda. It's, if you were like my daughter's boyfriend, I'd be like, red flags, but that's a different thing. Anyway, what do you guys as board members, and you're an attorney, and there's so many smart members on the board, and I get it, but I don't get it. Do you guys see any problem with that? It's so insular. It's so non-inviting in many ways. Do you guys see any problems with that? Do you guys ever discuss that? Like, what can we do to make the board more a part of Lakeside rather than this little island within the Lakeside that people only get to go to, kind of? That was it.
So thanks for that, Kathy. The board is made up of Lakesiders. Every member of the board is a Lakesider. Some are property owners, some are visitors, some are pastors. But when we talk about Lakeside and we talk about our various constituencies, today I'm pleased to be in the room with property owners, but Lakeside has more constituencies than property owners, and you will see that reflected in the board's membership. So as we serve, we take into consideration all Lakesiders, and we want the voices and the opinions of all Lakesiders, and we are a nonprofit, right? So we serve the mission, and we are guided by the mission, and we are here to listen, of course, right, to a big contingency, but yes, we recognize that we are all Lakesiders, and because we're a nonprofit with a tax-exempt status, we function consistent with our bylaws and like nonprofits. I understand, right, that there is a desire on the part of the property owners to have the ability, I believe, right, to elect all of the members of the board, but because of our nonprofit status, we're not able to offer that. Does that answer your question, Kathy?
Do we need a mic, please?
Just really quick. Not really, only because, I don't understand the ins and outs of a nonprofit, and I would agree maybe electing every board member would not be the way to go. However, if the LPOA, Lakeside Property Owners Association, elects people that they want to serve on the board, why should you just plural, why should the board be able to just say, nope, you don't get to do it? Or why, and that's a change, that's a change in the bylaws, I think, but I could be wrong. Same with the foundation board, they were separate, now they're together. So, and I'm just curious, that's part of my agenda. I'm just curious, I don't get it. But I appreciate what you explained so far.
So, out of curiosity, was there a time ever in Lakeside previously when the property owners elected by direct vote all of the members of the association board?
No.
So I'm hearing the answer is no, right? So we're functioning as we have functioned.
Please, Jane has the floor. Thank you. Go ahead. Jane, you have the floor. Are you finished?
I'm answering the question asked, right? But as directors of a nonprofit board, right, we serve the mission and we have fiduciary duties that we must carry out. So when we meet, right, we're mission focused. We're focused on our strategic priorities, the priorities that the community participated in helping us set, and in advancing the mission.
Is there another forum that we can use to have an actual conversation here that sounds like I can take the questions and we can have them answer. I don't
I
know.
have-
I
I
don't
have
know
a
exactly what the proper how to proceed here.
The question just needs to be clarified. Jane, the question she's asking is, LPOA elects their member to the board. Our expectation as LPOA is that member is now on the board. You guys have the right to say no. That's what they're asking. Why is that? Not about your board, not about directly electing people to your board. If this whole organization says, there's two names, Mike is one, I forgot the other one already. It's already on the board.
Ron Yonke.
Ron. So Ron is one, Mike is the other. At an election, the LPOA is going to elect one of them to be on your board. That's our expectation. The question they're asking you is, why is that expectation not being met? Because you have the ability to say, we don't want that one. That's what they're asking is, why is our expectation not being met? Why is our voice not getting to the board? That's what they want answered.
But that's not new. That has been like that for many, many years.
Not
This is
disagreeing.
not-
That's why everyone's asking it. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm saying that's the question they're asking you to answer.
So the LPOA is an independent organization from the Lakeside Association. The Lakeside Association is the governing body. The Lakeside Association Board is the governing body of Lakeside. They have the responsibility to make sure they have an appropriate board. They give the LPOA grace to allow 3 of an unaffiliated organization to sit on the association board with the provision that they are allowed to vet the people that we elect. I think that's a reasonable request.
No, I want.
All right, now, Linda, you have had a chance to speak. Who else has not had a chance yet to speak? Linda, I'll come back to you.
David Stevens, 515 Maple. To Jane's point, I guess I'm unclear as to why the board would be unable to carry out its fiduciary responsibilities if they were an elected board. I'm unclear as to why a 501(c) status would prohibit an elected board. That doesn't make sense to me. And I guess I would just like to ask Jane, if I could, are you opposed to having an elected board? And if so, could you elaborate a little bit more, because the reasons you gave don't quite seem to do it.
And I'm gonna, it's a good question, Dave, and I want to hear the answer, just like everybody else does. I'm wondering at this moment in our meeting how we have shifted from LPOA business to board business. If I can maintain decorum in the room, I will allow the questions to continue. I can't, this is another example of putting Jane on the spot. If we had a way to have, can I please have the floor? If I have a way to call a special meeting to answer these questions, I can do that. If you have questions, we can write them down. Jane can answer what she is able to answer. I don't know. I think I need to ask for your opinion, Jane, how you want to go forward. I know there's a lot of questions for you at this moment. Can I ask what you would like to do?
Thanks for asking, Marianne. I would like to remind everybody in the room that I'm one member, right, of our 18-member board. And we speak, right, with one voice. So while I can attempt to answer questions, my answers are limited presently to action that has been taken by the board, and that's where it rests. If there is a desire, right, for the board to consider some of the questions that are being brought forward today, Because what I hear, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, what I hear is curiosity about whether we could operate differently. Could the Lakeside Association Board of Directors be structured differently? And that's a question that the board needs to consider as a board. I can't bring that answer to you today. I can accept your question, but I can't individually bring you an answer to that question. So if that's a question that you would like me to take back to the board, I most certainly can and will do that. Again, we have maybe 8 board members present or more. I didn't turn around to count, so know that you're not just being heard by me today, you're being heard by more than half of the board probably who is here and present. We do have a governance committee. Jack Allen chairs our governance committee. Jack was here earlier. I presume he needed to go attend to other business. And, I know you're aware that we periodically review the bylaws. And, we can take that question to Jack and take it to the board. I see that Randy has his hand up, and I am not running the meeting, so.
Jane, is this an issue, the issue of can the association board be run differently? Is that something that we can add as an agenda item? How would that question be vetted by the association board? What would the procedure be? What's the process of?
It would be, for me, right,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm doing this on the spot, I think that would be brought forward by the governance committee.
So it would go to the governance committee first?
To the big board.
To the, mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And remember that there are constraints, okay? We have to comply with federal law. We have to comply with state law. If we want to maintain our tax exemption, right, that's a factor. So which makes us a public charity, okay? So we are constrained by what's possible because of those factors.
Mary Ann, yeah, could I comment?
Sure.
Yes. I'm Randy Snow, and I'm chair of the foundation board. And just a couple clarifications. One of those was, and Jane mentioned this earlier about the members of the board that are affirmed or confirmed by the board of directors. Now, there are 3 positions: the minister of the Lakeside United Methodist Church, the president of the Lakeside Property Owners Association, and the chairperson of the Lakeside Chautauqua Foundation. And I'll go to that in a minute. But the person elected, or the 2 people elected by the Property Owners Association, are not confirmed by the board. It goes on to say, the remaining members shall be elected at the annual meeting, and then it says, 2 members elected by the board shall be nominated by the Lakeside Properties Association, and 2 members elected by the board shall be nominated by the resident bishops. So I think there's a clarification there, and it's not that the Lakeside board confirms the representatives from the property owners board. They are automatically members of the board once they're elected by the property owners.
But Randy, that's not what the Lakeside Association bylaws say.
That's what I'm reading it from. I'm reading it
Are
right
yours dated April 1st, 2023?
Yes.
So it says, A, 6 ex officio members with voting privileges, comma, confirmed by a vote of the board.
Correct.
And then it goes on to list 1 each nominated by the bishops of the East Ohio and West Ohio conferences of the United Methodist Church. the minister of the Lakeside United Methodist Church or his or her designated congregant, the president of the Lakeside Property Owners Association, one person elected by the Lakeside Property Owners Association, the chairperson of the Lakeside Chautauqua Foundation Board. So that's in that under paragraph A there.
Well, then what I'm looking at right here that was published and was presented to all of the property owners reads differently than what you're reading.
Oh. I asked my vice chair if she had the bylaws with her, and so that's what I'm reading from. My apologies.
I have a point of order from the floor.
I still have the mic.
And what is your point of order?
Pardon me. I'm still.
There's not even a question pending. Can we get back to having order? There's not a question pending. These two people can work this out and you can report to us.
That sounds like a great idea.
Well, let me.
And can I have your name and address for our record? I'm sorry, I can't hear you. Thank you, John. There's been a point of order on the floor that I honor. We are going to allow Randy, who has the microphone, to finish his comment.
Okay, secondly, the question was also raised with respect to the chair of the foundation being confirmed by the board. And the reason for that is that the foundation is a supporting organization of Lakeside, of the Lakeside board. And as a supporting organization under the IRS regulations, the member, which is Lakeside, and the Lakeside board has not only the right, they must elect members to the board. So if you want to keep your 501c3 status, because we are a supporting organization, the foundation is, then they have the right, actually, they could elect all of the members to the foundation board. And rather than doing that, what they've done is they have to approve the member that comes over to the Lakeside board from the foundation board. And so that's why they approve those members to the foundation board. They're not on the foundation board themselves, but they have the right to approve those members. So when we submit a slate of members through the foundation's nominating committee and then the approval of the foundation board, that goes to the Lakeside board for their approval, and that has to be the way it is under the IRS regulations.
Thank you, Randy. Do we have anyone who's raising their hand who has not yet had a turn to speak?
Correct. I've got one here.
Okay.
M.A. Stevens, 515 Maple. I appreciate the explanations of how things are now, but I would like somebody to acknowledge the requests of how we would like them to be.
Thank you, M.A. Duly noted. Has anyone else not had a chance? Oh, we have over here first, Carol.
Yeah, my name is Grant Hope. I live at 407 Walnut, also 121 West 4th. My question is, it's encouraging to have so many people want to participate. And I think that's great. And I love Lakeside. I've loved it for years. And I also don't like to see the squabbling and the micromanagement, or whatever terms you want to use for it. But my question is, since the Methodist Church left, has there been a strategic plan where we addressed, go back and revise the 5 pillars, what are Lakeside here, what are your strengths, your weaknesses, your opportunities and threats for taking on and improving where Lakeside goes? And it sounds like every question everyone's having here would be addressed in those committees that go through that. So the question to the board is, have you done a strategic plan since the Methodist Church left? Do you plan to do one? Does Charles do one every year? How often do you do that?
I can answer that. We are in the process right now of strategic planning, and we have a consultant working with us actually for the last 2 board meetings on a strategic plan.
Are you allowed to release any
Am I allowed to, what information about this, the ongoing strategic plan process?
I think sharing that information leads to a lot of the questions that you're seeing. And because of that, there's, the paranoia and all the other things that are going on here. I think they escalate. And so you can't be secretive about it. You need to be open.
Yep, and that goes back to my point of encouraging the board to be more relational and to speak more in person. And one of the responsibilities I see that I have now as president of the LPOA is to arrange forums for that purpose. And I can see where that would be a good benefit to the membership of the LPOA to invite a forum. Yes, and I will add that to my agenda items for the next meeting. And sir, you've had your turn. Okay, we need to keep moving. So yes.
Erin Curry Hosawful, 545 Cedar. First of all, Marianne, Jane, and Randy, thank you all for serving. I know that I've been in your shoes. It's a lot of different pieces to handle. I have a background as a CPA, and I'm specialized in not-for-profit, so I spent a good deal of time with all three sets of your bylaws, just out of genuine interest. Also as a Lakesider, that goes back a very long time. My question, and I think a lot of what the question here is not this is what we want to see, for example, but why were certain changes made? And I think the version control and those sorts of things kind of speak to changes are made in each organization over time, whether it be the LPOA, whether it be the Chautauqua Foundation, whether it be the board, and then as you flow through, it's making some challenges as we go that maybe isn't understood unless you're kind of pulling each piece together. So I think my question at least is, can we go back and explain some of the recent changes in the last, more not because of you guys, but more because of the president changes over, how that relates to where we're going forward. Yes, the member was the big one, but there's a lot of things that happened along the way that seem to be missing, or we could open up and invite a discussion on and an understanding as to what was the board's purpose in doing this, what was the foundation's purpose in doing this, what was the LPOA's purpose in doing this, and does it flow all the way through correctly to allow Lakeside to function? Although Jane's board is the governing association, Randy's is its own 501c3, and obviously the LOPA represents the Property Owners Association. So I would ask that we kind of look at it in each piece together rather than each piece moving separately, because I can see inversions where that happened along the way.
Yeah, and I like your comment, and it reminded me of something else that we talked about at the governance meeting yesterday when I was encouraging the board, the association board in general, to be more relational and to provide more education while something is in process, rather than to have the discussion and then report on it after it's been decided. I think that's a big sticking point that I hear. And as an example of that, at the governance meeting yesterday, I talked about the membership issue being taken out of the minutes. I wasn't on the board at that time, and so I'm asking for backstory about what that process was so that I can be better able to speak to it. And just as an example, I said, if the board had had some kind of education while they were considering this, then people wouldn't have been surprised when it was finalized. Because if there's one thing I know about LPOA members, we don't like surprises. And that has been proven over and over. I think we had a kind of a situation like that with the NCA last summer. There's been a lot of spinning of stories about what happened with the NCA and why it sat on the shelf, and et cetera, et cetera. But the bottom line is, we have learned from those missteps. And as a board member, I will admit that it wasn't the brightest decision, but it was a decision, and we have learned from that going forward, making important decisions, it's important for us to educate the people who will be affected by that decision once it's made. And so that is something that I continually talk about at all the committees that I'm associated with. When it comes to these two different versions of the association board bylaws. It's quite possible that the directory is in error. It's not. The directory has the direct version? Okay, Jane said the directory has yes, and Jane has apologized for not reading from the correct version. It's something that I'm always terrified about. It happened last year, I think, with either our bylaws or the association bylaws were published with not the most current edition. And if that was the case, I wanted to make sure that I apologized for that, because that would be my responsibility. So, okay, thank you, Jane, for saying that. All right, next question. I know Linda had her hand up, Martha has her hand up. They've both spoken once. Does anyone else have something to say before we go back to the beginning? Dave Blank, is that your hand I see? Okay, oh, at the end. Okay, Linda, you're up.
I would just publicly encourage the board to okay all LPOA people that we vote for. To my knowledge, and I've been here a long time, I don't know of anyone who has ever been not accepted to LPOA by the board. That's correct. Here we are. And also, people get a little bit afraid that they may not take a person that's voted to the LPOA because of what happened on the foundation. I'm on the foundation. We voted 100% to have a person come onto our foundation board, and the board turned that person down, which I will mention to the board that cost us a lot of money because he had a lot of connections to be able to bring money in the Lakeside. So that one non-vote for that person caused Lakeside, my grandchildren, my kids, it cost them a better Lakeside because he had so many great ideas to bring more money into the foundation, and he was turned down.
Thank you, Linda. Martha?
Hi, Martha Adamski, 919 East Main Street. First of all, Mary Ann, you do an awesome job. I don't care what the rest of them, who and whatever, but being on boards myself prior to retiring even, I think what we need to do with this Lakeside Property Owner Association is to clarify that's us. Then we have the Foundation Board of Lakeside. Then we have the Directors Board of Lakeside. And I think we need to clarify to us how many different levels there are that govern Lakeside. We're just one entity of several boards. And I think we're getting upset because there's miscommunication between everything. And I think somehow, that forum idea is a great idea. Maybe have a couple representatives from each of the board. Jane can't answer for the board of directors or the foundation board. She is one person. Even if she is the president cannot speak for the entire board. Just like everybody has a voice, and we've been giving our voice. So now give Mary Ann a chance with your concerns to go to the rest of our board and come up with some solutions. But I think the forum idea, just to plainly educate property owners.
Thank you, Martha. Lori Schweitzer, is that your hand?
How you doing? Hanging in there, day by day, huh?
Carol.
Lori Schweitzer has a mic.
I just want to say this all saddens me very much because we are all Lakeside. This is my personal opinion, but what's happening here is we have some communications problems. Some of them are verbal, some of them are nonverbal. I don't like hearing, because I didn't sense this when we bought a house in Lakeside in 2013, that it was the board versus the Lakeside homeowners. This is troubling to me. I served on the pool committee, the teen center committee, all of these, and I felt that there was strong collaboration between the board members, the CEO, the Lakeside property owners. For God's sakes, they put me on the pool committee because I signed up for that, or the teen committee, and I can't even swim. But I worked with people like Randy Snow and Kevin Sibring, and we worked together. And what I'm hearing in this meeting is the board, the board, the board. And we do have opinions as homeowners. We own a lot of property. We have a lot of property value in Lakeside. And for some reason, I think what's happening, this is just my perception, as someone who likes to take this side and get to the middle, that we don't feel heard and we don't feel valued, and the sense of trust and collaboration has been eroded. And so I may be totally off base, maybe that's just me, but this makes me sad as a person who spends hours each day, each week, going through Lakeside history, and it was all built on collaboration and democracy, and I think we have a fracture.
Thank you, Lori. Sally, you have your hand up?
Thank you. Your point about decorum took me aback and upset me, so I
Okay.
thought I would make this comment.
All right.
So first of all, Sally DePiero, 1317 Harsh Road. It's what you're feeling, I believe, is a response to pent-up concern, emotion, love for Lakeside, intelligence that's up here. It's being blocked off by refusal to attend board meetings that are closed for I'm not quite sure what reason. You know, a variety of things. When the conversation is cut off, when responses are not given to emails or phone calls, and you offer us these opportunities at the coffee chat and today when we have so many board members present, that's a little break in the wall, and we're going to take that opportunity to help you hear us and understand what we are asking. So I hope that you hear us. Thank you.
Thank you, Sally.
Glenn Becker, 225 Sycamore. This is a question for Ron Yankee. And this is nothing personal, Ron. You and I have talked about this. When you gave your list of things up there and you talked to Charles about, what's your thinking, what's your thoughts on how it didn't seem like any of this was possible to get done? You know, the maintenance, the dock looks abandoned. What's your thought on Charles's or anybody's ability to get some of these things heard and worked on?
Okay. The conversations that the committee has with Charles, I would say, frank. The discussions are free-flowing. I've never felt he said, "Okay, I hear you. Next subject." I mean, we aren't dismissed. You know, with respect to the delays in maintenance, he said, "Hey, spring and we're behind. You know, I've retained some additional temporary workers to try to catch up." And we basically said, "Well, that's nice, but you can't go back and make Lakeside look good for the people who are only here the first week in June." So he acknowledges that and apologetic about that. with respect to the porta potties at the south entrance, he said the work has to wait to be done, given the nature of the work, and I tried to get the nicest porta potties I can. So, I've seen responsiveness on the on the longer term maintenance items. That's been less of a discussion with Charles. The example you gave, Glenn, that is on the lakefront work group that's part of the capital evaluation. I'm on the subcommittee that's looking at that. That's on my list. That's going to be raised up by the end of this month, if not before then. So we're not getting. I've never felt stonewalled.
I'm Dan Bucky. This is the second time I've stood up, but I'm taking the privilege of being probably the next to the oldest person in this room. I don't know, Dee. We'll have to check birthdays to see who's got that title.
I don't know. You might have competition from Bob over here.
Yeah. In fact, with Bob here, I know I'm second with Bob because I know the birthday he just had. But
yeah.
Anyway, I've been around Lakeside a long time. Over the last 45 years, I've served 2 different terms on the board. So I've been inside, I've been outside. Mm-hmm. I have great respect for the people that dedicate their time to serving on the board. As I heard so many of the discussions and concerns today, they were on issues that have been on the bylaws forever. Nothing has changed, okay? There's just a perception of how they're being handled today compared to the way we've been used to being handled, like in the area of the board approving, certain people for with the board or the foundation. The rules haven't changed. It's always been that way. The thing that has changed, and I don't mean this to be unkind, I'm just saying it as an observation, that I think the difference is there's a lack of trust and confidence now between the community and the board, okay?
Are you talking the association board or the LPOA board?
No, I'm saying the association board.
Okay.
We're talking about bylaws, and those bylaws haven't changed. And I think it would be naive to say that there isn't any problem of trust and confidence, okay? Without pointing fingers, without blaming people, just a reality. I've spoken to members of the board recently about that and how we can heal that. Part of it is their responsibility. Part of us will be our responsibility to be open to listen. But that lack of confidence is lack of confidence and trust is an underlying thing of all of this, and I think we all need to accept it and work on it.
Let me ask you a question back. What do you think is at the root of that distrust? What is, when you drill down, what is the one thing that is causing the distrust?
And again, this isn't necessarily a fact, but it's a perception, and I've heard this all across the community. I don't know who they are. I don't know them. Okay. And I know some of them, and if I look down the list, we've got really good people that are donating their time. Mm-hmm. But there has, and I think it might be just, maybe it's just the voice of the board to the community. But there is that perception out there. And I think we need to acknowledge it and deal with it,
Is it your sense, Dan, that every board has the same relational challenges? When the association board is required to make decisions, you've been a board member, walk us through how that feels to have the weight of those decisions on your shoulders at that time.
Over all the years I've been here, I have never noticed this kind of fracture. Okay.
And that's what I'm trying to figure out.
Right.
What, can you tell me more than just
Yeah.
distrust? I need
Yep.
to know what it is.
You know, I have personally met with the last two presidents of the board and the current one, saying, I really think the issue here is a PR problem. You know, it's a PR problem, not a reality problem.
So the thing, the message that I'm hammering away at with the association board is on the right track, saying we need to be more in person,
Yeah.
we need to be more
Yes.
relational, we
Yes.
need to be willing to speak in an environment of back and forth and not
Right.
just feeling. You talk
Right.
about perceptions, and I hear the perceptions that you and others in this room have, but there's also perceptions that board members feel, not only the association board, but the LPOA executive committee. We have perceptions that there isn't anything we can do that is right, because everything we try to do is wrong. And there isn't any positive feedback that we're feeling that we are acknowledged as making an honest effort and doing our very best. I'm not hearing that, so the perception is of, I hate to say the word attack, and I know attack means a lot of things to a lot of people, but that's what I was alluding to when I said we feel like we're set up or put on the spot, because we are trying our damnedest to do the right thing and to make sure that the mission of the LPOA, which is separate from the association board, is viable, and that Lakeside stays this pure and lovely place into the future. A lot of us in this room, I'd like to actually see a show of hands. How many people in this room belong to an HOA? I'd say at least half of us. To me, that's part of the root of the problem, because in what I ask of people, where do you live when you're not at Lakeside? We belong to places where there is common ownership of land. And there are meetings like this. There's an HOA president who feels all the concerns of the residents. There is common land involved in an HOA, which Lakeside does not have. We cannot approach the association board as if we are HOA members in Lakeside. It's just a different beast. So that's why the association board is struggling so much, because of what your experience is when you're at home and how you deal with your own HOA to get what you want. So here, it's not what we individually or as interest-minded groups want. It's what everybody who comes through the gate wants. So, of course, the LPOA members and all the leaseholders have a huge financial contribution that we're required to give to Lakeside, and we do deserve recognition for that. We also have to recognize and admit that there are other people who participate in the life of Lakeside equally with us. That is our choice to own a house here. Lakeside hasn't made us do it. The people who don't own houses here have not been refused house ownership. Because it's not a membership organization, we are not exclusive. We can't pick and choose who the property owners are. We don't own any common land here. And that is part of our lease agreement. We knew that coming in with our eyes open. So we're not an HOA, and we shouldn't treat our various boards as if they are HOAs that require us to do what the requester wants. We need to find a way to be more consensus-minded and to make decisions for the common good. And right now, for the board, for the LPOA, It's incredibly difficult. It's incredibly difficult to do that. Question, Jim.
Jim Edwards, once again, and for the last time. I'm thankful I'm not as old as Dan and Dee. I hope to get there. I have great hope to get there. I was on the board, and several of you were in the room on the board when, on the Lakeside Association board, when the number of members of the board was reduced from 40 to 25. And when we say the board at one time was 40, everybody gasps and said, how in the world did you get anything done? But the answer is, at that time, just like any board, there were some people who chose not to participate. There were some people who were ex officio members that we probably should have not accepted, quite honestly. But nonetheless, there was almost someone from every neighborhood. There was almost someone that we all knew that was on the board. And when we had the debate about reducing the size of the board, several of us at that time said, you know, looking down the road, there could be a time when it would become too insular or become perceived as being insular and become perceived as being not equitable. And we lost. The board size was reduced to 25. I would simply offer the suggestion to Jane and others on the governance committee of the board that the next time you consider reviewing the guidelines, perhaps you enlarge the board a bit and take a broader cross-section of the Lakeside population and hopefully a better communication and therefore perhaps a better relationship.
Thank you, Jim. Who's next?
Dave Stevens, 515 Maple. I have to say, this is going to sound a little bit crude, I think, but I feel like we're devolving into a pity party here for the boards, and I just can't go there. I think to Dan Bucky's point earlier, most definitely the association board has a PR problem, but they also have a reality problem with us. The board has not made the effort that it could have to reach out. The board has, in fact, taken steps that are against the interest of the property owners. We've had this issue of membership that caused a great fracture, to use the term we're trying to avoid, that caused a great fracture within this community. This is a board problem, a board challenge, in particular a board leadership challenge. And I would really, at some point, love to see the board actually take a proactive step toward acknowledging that reality and do their job.
Which is?
Which is not to distance themselves from us, but to represent us, include us in the conversations, include us in the membership status, so to speak, and acknowledge that we have a major role in this organization. This independent board that self-selects itself makes no sense, to me anyway, and in spite of all of the conversations that have gone on in this community, I still feel the board is just clueless. We haven't had any response other than kind of tone-deaf behavior, and I just can't understand that. That's a leadership issue, and it needs to be dealt with by board leadership, not ignored.
Thank you, Dave. Jane, I'll take you next. Jane.
We're here today and we're listening and we're engaging. And in the last 2 years, we've made every effort to involve the community in the issues that the board has taken up that face the community. And one of those was really unpopular with the community, and because of community input, right, the NCA, the board decided not to go forward with it. We are now faced with a capital improvement issue, right? And that we have a lot of aging buildings. And the board is, again, right, inviting community participation in exploring what the options and the opportunities are with respect to our capital improvement challenges. So I will challenge the assertion that we are not engaging with the community. If there are additional ways that we could be engaging with the community. We are open to more opportunities, but we have asked for input and we are receiving input, and we continue to be committed to that. We just released our commitment with leaseholders, and in that commitment, right, is our commitment to engage honestly with leaseholders. We're here doing that today. So I hear you saying that we're not engaging, but we're here today engaging. So I'm struggling with that accusation.
Thank you, Jane. I've got. We have a first-time commenter here.
Hi, everybody. I'm Gwen Nichols, 208 Maple. I serve on the association board, and I just want to say thank you to the Lakesiders who this summer are reaching out to me to have productive conversations about their real concerns and their real views. I'm sorry, I don't mean to get emotional, but as a board member, it's often felt as though there hasn't been constructive feedback, right? Like, I'm a problem solver. I love hearing about real issues. And when I hear about real issues and real concerns, and through that process and building relationship, I think that speaks to some of the things that Dan mentioned. And, we'd love the opportunity to continue to build real relationships so we can better understand the history that all of you bring that we may not have with us. Jim Edwards, I'd love to catch you after the meeting for a minute for some of the comments that you made. And I hope that we can start to break down this wall and, again, get to know one another a little bit better and, spend some time through relationship working on building trust. Do we have any Rotarians here? In our Rotary meetings, we focus on the four-way test. And I don't have enough phone power here to pull it up and read it to everybody. But the purpose of the four-way test is that when we come together, we're trying to build goodwill in every conversation and in every action. And when we can approach one another from that perspective, hopefully we can weaken and lessen some of these barriers and build on relationships and stay focused on our shared long-term priorities for Lakeside. Thank you.
Richard Hahn has his hand up.
He's over there.
Yep. Your name and address, please, Richard.
Richard Hahn, 401 Maple. With all due respect, and Gwen and Jane, you were sitting next to me at Friday morning's coffee chat, at which Charles Allen declared the community had approved a 3/4 of the year operation. That the community has approved operation of Lakeside, not the Chautauqua program, but the operation of Lakeside for 3 out of the 4 quarters of the year. You were sitting next to me. Am I misstating, Charles? Ted, you were sitting next to me. That was my interpretation, that the community has approved not the Chautauqua program, but operation 3 out of 4 quarters of the year. And the board members were sitting next to me. I speak up, unfortunately, and I regret it. That is not my understanding. And when you speak of trust, to have the CEO declare that and have the chairman of the board not make an issue of it if it's wrong, creates distrust in my go ahead. I mentioned, well, anyway, that was my understanding of the comment. You heard the same thing I did.
Thank you, Richard. Jane, would you like to answer or comment on that?
Well, yes, if I may.
Sure.
Mr. Hunt, I was at the meeting. The discussion that I recall was a discussion on the strategic priorities. And so we were talking about the strategic priorities. Are you talking about the strategic priorities?
I will answer because I think he gave the number of weeks. We have a market study, according to Charles Allen, a market study that will support operation of Lakeside for 40-some weeks of the year. He equivocated that it may be less, but our CEO is moving forward based on what he said is the market study that supports operation of Lakeside as a specialized retreat off-season, and that it could be profitable. And he gave the number of weeks, which was somewhere, I believe, around, it was more than 30, and I believe even approaching 40, and he kind of equivocated on that.
Okay, thanks, Richard. I really appreciate that clarification. And I brought a copy of the strategic plan that was completed, the summary that's on the website. I brought that with me today in case you hadn't found it online. As we all know, back in 2018, Lakeside worked on a master plan, right? Something aspirational to provide vision for the community. And after that project was completed, there was some strategic planning done. Was anyone here a part of that? Okay, and I'm not, okay, thank you. And I didn't show up today prepared to talk about all this, right? But you've got a question and a concern. So I'm not speaking for the board, Jane. But I do want to speak as someone who was at that meeting. You know, Lakeside is trying to find ways to make sure that we are bringing in other people's money, right, to help fund our Chautauqua programming. And there was a market study done that included Lakeside. And again, I'm paraphrasing, but the idea is what's going on the peninsula? How can Lakeside make sure that we're capitalizing on the opportunities to bring in revenue and maximize the facilities that we have, right, during the off-season? And so I think to Charles's point, you know, we hear about these big convention centers, right? We're not going to compete with, what's that animal-themed place over in Sandusky, right?
Kalahari.
Right. We can't be a Kalahari. What can Lakeside do? And, you know, through the market study, we're finding, you know, we can host small groups in an affordable way in the few facilities that we have that are available on a year-round basis. So the idea is when we have somebody who's coordinating events for Lakeside, they can be out advertising and trying to recruit small groups to come to Lakeside and hold their retreats here. And the idea is that we could do that. There's probably 40 weeks a year that would support something like that. So you know, that it wasn't about we're transforming this place and investing $50 million and becoming a year-round resort. The point was just how can we capitalize on the assets that we have to generate some income? That's my recollection of the conversation yesterday.
Thanks, Gwen. Any other hands up raised? I've got the red cap in the back. Carol, the red cap in the back. And then Glenn after that.
Don Ramsey, 312 East 4th Street. I fell in love with Lakeside in the 50s and 60s. And the big difference I see now, and when I hear about the maintenance and the buildings, I'm just wondering how much study there is on labor, wages, so forth, because I just don't remember in the early days seeing so many people, and I know times change and we have to change with it, but anyway, I guess I'd be interested in possibly maybe not a Doge thing, but some type of study. Thank you.
Thank you, Don. Glenn, you're next. And then EJ.
Glenn Becker, 225 Sycamore. Marianne, I applaud you. A couple of minutes ago, you said it's hard to be on that board, and I know it is. You used the word consensus. You want to find a consensus. You asked Dan Bucky, and Dan and I agree on more than one or two things. But I think you need to ask the other 928 members of this organization what they think and what they feel and where they like to see things go. There's survey is a bad word around here these days, but even good boards that are in good shape are known for asking their constituents and their donors, how do you feel about this? How are we doing? So, consensus.
Thank you, Glenn. EJ?
Thank you. EJ Thomas, 661 Lynn Avenue. I don't envy the job that you have right now during these difficult times, Marianne, or anyone else that's on the LPOA board. Jane, by the same token, you and the board are dealing with some challenges that are really tough. I would suggest to you that they're tough because of the perception. I've heard perception here probably a dozen times today. Reality is not important when perception rules the day, and that's what's happened. There's not a person in this room that doesn't have goodwill in their heart toward Lakeside. We've invested here because we love it here. We've raised our families here because of how good it is for our kids. What you're hearing at these meetings, when things get a little, people get fussy, is because they feel they're not being heard. How is that different than in your own home when somebody, you say, you're not listening to me? And I think that's where we are right now. This country was founded on checks and balances because that's how an organization, or in our case, the country, works best. I think there's a sense, a perception, that we've lost the check and balance that the LPOA board should have as it relates to the full board. Jane is in Columbus managing a law firm. A lot of the board members are not here all the time. You are the conduit as the LPOA for everything that folks are thinking. I think the perception, and I hear this out on the street, that the LPOA is reflecting the board to us, not the LPOA mirroring what we feel, what our concerns are, what our fears are to the board itself. So I think that one of the things that could help turn that around would be a commitment that there are times when the LPOA is going to challenge the board. I don't mean in a fractious way. I don't mean in a way that is, I was going to say not gentlemanly, but you get what I'm saying. There needs to be respectful discourse. I get that. But that friction could be helpful to us right now. Jane, you talk about being engaged with us here today. The perception among some is a couple of your questions were unresponsive. I don't mean that unkindly. At the upcoming board meeting that's open, we were told that only a very few people are going to have an opportunity to have their thoughts heard in a 2-minute round, like a game show. Okay, we're going to the lightning round here. And that there would be no answers to any of those questions. To me, that is unresponsive. It's a token to the notion of accountability and being engaged with this organization, with all of us here. It is demeaning in the way that it's perceived. Again, I don't mean to be unkind. I'm trying to be as diplomatic as I can. But I think I reflect the perception that is out there and what a lot of people think. If it were me, and you're not me, I would say at that meeting, if we need to be there for 4 hours after we do our regular business and listen to anyone who wants to come up and talk, and we will take notes, and we will answer to the best of our ability on that dais that day and get back with you if we don't have the answers, would do one hell of a lot to get us back to where we need to be.
Thank you, EJ. Can I take another question? I know you have more to say.
No, I'm good.
But I promise.
I got a little wound up. Thank you.
EJ, the words you said meant a lot to me personally, and thank you for that. That's why I let you go over, because what I wanted to hear. I was captivated. Thank you. And I hope that this whole group appreciates the fact that someone has come up to me and says, this meeting is running too long, it needs to end. And I said, no, we are going to continue. So I hope this represents a check mark, a green check mark in my column today. So I will take the next person who wants to speak. I think it's Lynn Hudson.
Hi, 324 Poplar. First of all, I want to be one of those who says, I noticed yesterday at the chat with Charles, there were 7 board members. 8, excuse me, I stand corrected. 8 board members there. I know last year when I talked with Charles, he said he was working on getting board members to be more visible in the community, and thank you for responding so positively. I do recognize with your commitments that you are making an effort, and I applaud you for your progress. I want to build on what Dan Bucky said about why this is happening at this juncture. And although we all love to drive through the gates and leave the wider world behind, the wider world is not a comfortable place to be. We are shut out often in the wider world. And so we bring that frustration with us to Lakeside. So I'm sorry to the board members and to you, Marianne, and the board of this organization, but you are bearing the brunt and the fallout from what's happening in the wider world. And I hope you just say, it's uncomfortable, but we're going to roll with it. And I like the idea of a forum that is not governed by time or not governed by, well, a looser forum, a more friendly forum. And like Marianne and many of you, I serve on an HOA board. I'm the chair. Well, I got out of there. We're living in Lakeside now. So, but I said I would serve until October, and I'm looking forward to that. If you've served on an HOA board, I suspect you have lots of frustration because people don't come to meetings, but they love to complain. And the nice thing about Lakeside is we do like to complain, but we're also willing to pitch in and help. And one of the things I've noticed about here is the people in the community have themselves, many of them, been on the board. And very talented people, very experienced people. And so I would encourage all of us to think about power sharing more than we have in the past, because we got a lot of people used to giving orders and doing strategic planning in both groups. And I think we need to find a way to work better at that, okay? Leave some egos behind.
Thank you, Lynn. Are there any other comments? Ted?
Just a bit of history. 2 years ago, the board held a community forum in May. There were lots of groans. I took a video of it, It's online if you want to see it. And then we had a community meeting a month later. And there was a petition associated with that community meeting. It's asking for a lot of things that we still haven't gotten. There were 127 signatures on that petition. We got it completed in a couple of hours. We didn't go door to door. I hand-delivered the original copies of those signed petitions to the president of the association board, Jane Anderson, at the time. The date was June the 21st, 2023. I put a cover letter with it. I didn't bring it with me today, but 2 words I've looked at over and over again as recently as yesterday. One was, we, those 127 of us who signed that petition, asking for more involvement with the board, we want to begin a conversation and have a dialogue. You can see the letter. I have it. And I've sent it to many board members. I think all the board members have probably seen it. So today is July the 12th, 2025. That letter has not been acknowledged until this day by the board. Didn't get a letter back from the secretary. Didn't hear from Jane. Thank you for your letter. We'll take your concerns under advisement. Instead, in November of that year, I read the August board minutes of 2023, and they're online. You can go look them up. The August board minutes say, under old business on page 4, because I looked at this yesterday, we got this petition, and it was signed by 83 households, because Jane took the 127 signatures and boiled it down to 83 households, whatever it was. And then the next 3 words in the minutes, you can look them up, they're online. No further action. It's there. And instead they said, we're gonna let the LPOA handle this. So Jeff Beach, who was then the president of the LPOA, formed a communications committee. We formed a survey committee. The survey committee went through 25 drafts. The communications committee voted 8-2 not to send out the survey that Jeff Beach wanted sent out and that Ron Yonke wanted sent out. The executive committee voted not to send out a survey to board members as requested by the association board. So 3 of us on that survey committee, myself, Glenn Becker, and Jerry Lieberger, were like, well, you know what? The LPOA was given a task by the association. The LPOA has voted 8-2 not to do a survey. We're going to do a survey. And it seems to me that, again, it's in the interests of all of Lakeside to find out how Lakesiders feel. And, I would just say again that I think everyone would benefit if we listen to each other. And one way to do that is with a survey. But I do get tired of the board saying we're listening to you when I think back to that letter that I hand-delivered to the board president 2 years ago and read in the minutes, we're done with this, no further action.
Thank you, Ted. I see another hand. Rich?
I'm Rich Kelmer. What's our address, Marianne?
203 East 2nd.
203 East 2nd. Okay, Ted. Hi, Ted. Put the camera down. Put it down. Put it down.
Richard? Rich, I have a point of order.
Okay.
He's allowed to videotape his meeting.
Okay. So you wonder why there isn't trust in our community. It's because we have a small group of people who take things into their own hand against the advice of their own organization. You were a member of the LPOA. You were given the right to develop a survey by your organization, the LPOA, and you chose not to adhere to their approval. You had agreed that they would approve it. They didn't, but you went around them. So that certainly creates a lack of trust. And so all your missives out there with these underhanded suggestions and threats and all that stuff, that can create a little bit of mistrust. How about when you have your community meetings where you're asked to express your level of anger? Are you red, or are you orange, or are you yellow? Are you green? Oh wait, you didn't ask if anybody was green. So I wore a green shirt today for you people, because you're leading the community down some path as if you've got some consensus of so many people, and I think you perhaps have some private agendas. I know you love this. You love it, Ted. You love it. I think you've got a private agenda, maybe for certain people who are interested in certain kind of leadership. And I'm not sure that's really what this community needs. I think the community, if you would ask the question for a change, how good a job is Lakeside doing at fulfilling its mission of providing a welcoming place for all people who can have experiences in education, in culture, in recreation? What's the other one?
Religion.
Religion. Oh, religion. Yeah, maybe there are some religious foundations here. So I ask you to look into your hearts and see how well are you people living up to the mission of Lakeside. So thank you for the opportunity to speak today.
Thank you, Rich.
Sorry, Marianne.
No apology needed. This is a free forum, and you are a member here. Thank you. More question? I have somebody in the back with a baseball cap.
Hello.
Hi.
It's hard for me to...
What's your name, please?
My name is Bill Lutterbine, 456 Vine.
Hi, Bill.
The Vines on Vine. It's hard for me to sit here with all this stuff, but I've known what I know is the best way to ruin an organization is to go to meetings and film things so you can get a gotcha later, and to second guess everything people do. Second guess it. It makes it hard for the board, the members, to make rational decisions because I know they're under a microscope. It's unfair to them, and honestly, I couldn't decide whether to come to this meeting or not because I'm sick and tired of all this hate. I see people, a group of people standing there like cheering. They're happy because of all this stuff, because we got you on that question, we got you on this question. Is this Lakeside, or is this some stupid group of people with pitchforks and torches trying to tear down the business? I'm sorry.
Thank you, Bill. Are there any other questions? Larry has his hand up. He's got the mic.
Larry Kissabeth, 526 Sycamore Street. Been here since 1960. If you see me in my golf cart with my grandkids behind us for our mowing projects, that's us. I currently serve on 5 boards. I'm the president of 3 of them. That shows you how smart I am. Leadership is not easy. I was a high school principal for a number of years. Leadership is not easy. And when I talk to any young people going into leadership, I say, you're going to get a lot of crap. When I took my master's degree classes in education, they said the superintendent gets the mortar shots, but the principal, the high school principal, gets the machine gun fire. And that is true. So anybody goes into leadership, I tell them, make sure you make yourself a good folder, because you'll need to go and look at the good folder every once in a while, because most of the stuff you're going to get is crap. I've been on the LPOA board. I am now in my 2nd year on the association board. I did it because I want to be part of a solution. I remember when the pool went in. I wish Gretchen was here, because I argued with Gretchen. I said, we don't need a pool. That's the worst thing we can do, is build a pool in Lakeside. But guess what? They didn't listen to me. And you know what? Lakeside did it right. We have a beautiful pool. And guess who went to the pool and Gretchen Cologne saw that individual? Right here. Because they did it right, and my grandkids love it. When we used to come to LPOA meetings, and I've been coming for a long time, it was always feral cats and skunks. and kids riding bicycles the wrong way on streets. Most of the wrong way do signs is because my brother and I, when we were kids, it's, you know, we're the ones that rode down the lakefront. We're the ones that ran over people at conferences. We're the ones that went the wrong way on a one-way street when the fire department is going the correct way on the street, and we had to get out of the way. I wish we'd get back to that. Everybody is entitled to their opinion. Perception is reality. Trust is earned. I can tell you that everybody on the board, and I'm in my second year, everyone on the board has a passion for Lakeside, just as you do, just as every one of you do. We may see things from different perspectives. I didn't want a pool, but boy, what a nice pool we have, because somebody a little smarter than me said this is the way we need to go. The other thing I want to say to you is we all got to row in the same direction. We have different ideas and different ways, but we have to build consensus. We have to move in the same direction. I come to Lakeside to get rid of the crap in the outside world. This is a special place. I make a point to say hello to everybody I see because we have a Camelot here that we can't afford to lose. So my last point is this. You can have a half a glass of water. You can see it as half full, which I like to do because I like to move forward, or you can see it as half empty. And anybody in here, if you see the glass as half empty, I'm going to give you a smaller cup and you can fill it up. Thank you.
Thank you, Larry. I think we have one final comment here. We have two final comments. Dave, you wanted to be the last, or are you ready to go now? You want to be last. Okay. Someone in the back. I don't see who it is.
Hello, can you hear me?
Hi, Carolyn. Yeah, give your name and address, please.
I'm Carolyn Petlick, 162 Walnut Avenue. And there is a meanness in Lakeside that I have never, ever felt before. Some of it's coming from the outside, and some of it's coming from Lakeside trying to be somebody we're not. Let's be Lakeside. But I kind of work in the trenches here, and I see a lot. I won't go into any detail here, but anybody that wants to come and spend 15 minutes with me, I have what I see as a very visible example of things that, you know, could help this situation. So anyone on the board, anyone in this association, if you want to come and see, I will be glad to show you my impression of what I feel is kind of undermining so much of what the board's trying to do, what the LPOA is trying to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Carolyn. All right, Dave, I think we're just, I don't see any other hands. Oh, I've got one more. Just a second, Dave. Now you've got, now I'm curious. What's it going to be? Just a minute. We got one more. Just before you. Okay, go.
Brad Anderson, 435 Peach. So I found it odd that my family's like heavily involved in social media. So they've all joined Talk of Lakeside for entertainment value. So my one ask is, the world is watching us, and the world has easy access to watching us. So let's all try to keep it in the family, solve our problems here. After every one of these meetings, I see people run to Facebook, whether it's Facebook Kiosk 365, Talk of Lakeside, and they post everything we talk about, decisions that are made, complaints, it all gets posted out there, and that goes outside the gates in a millisecond. And everyone's watching us. So I just want everyone to be mindful about what you're saying here, what the conversations we're having on porches, but quickly running to something that distributes it worldwide in seconds is dangerous, and I think we just need to be mindful and thoughtful about like the conversations we have and where we take them, and then the comments we make on those postings.
Thank you. All right, Dave Blank, this is your moment.
This has nothing to do about anything that's been talked about in the last hour. This is about streets. We've begun our neighborhood street meetings. We've had 2 very, very constructive meetings. There are a couple more which are on the agenda. They are in August. I think August 19th is the next one. Gretchen may be trying to set up another one which is more online. But I would encourage you, particularly if you're in the area which is going to be in the phase 1 construction, which is on the eastern side of Lakeside, to make sure you can sign up for those meetings to attend them. Thank you for the people who have hosted those already, the Carlsons and the Johnsons, thank you very much. And there are others who are going to be doing it later in August. Go to the Lakeside Association website, and at the very bottom of the website, there's something called Streets Alert. And in Streets Alert, you can learn when the dates of these meetings are and register for them. We are trying to listen to what people have told us about these, and the things that we've been told we're working on. We don't have the answers yet, but we're working on it. So please attend these meetings, particularly if you're impacted in phase 1 of the project. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. And before I adjourn, I just want to thank you all for maintaining decorum. I'm very proud of this group for taking turns and honoring the 2-minute rule. And I think this was a really good forum today. Raise your hand if you feel this has been productive. There is so much wisdom in this room, and there's so much positive energy in the room, and I hope it's contagious, and I hope we can all take it with us and all do a better job of making this place the place we love the best. And with that, I call for a motion to adjourn. A second. Meeting's adjourned. Have a great day.